Good morning, legends. Well, what is going on with Bitcoin? We are back at 30K. How is this possible? I think a lot of people are in disbelief right now. I have to admit myself, I went live on the weekend, talked about these two levels here that are still boxed. In all honesty, I did not think we were going to break this box. Been listening to a lot of YouTubers' videos as well over the weekend, and I think a lot of people did not think we would break this area here. But we are back here at 30,900. What does that mean? Someone calls Satoshi. This is not okay. Satoshi needs to get up out of bed and needs to fix this right now. But in all seriousness, this is not great for Bitcoin. We're going to talk about it in this video. I'm going to talk about short term, what to look out for, and also as an investor, what would you do at these levels? So if it's your first time here, don't fear. Let's just put a rational plan in place. If you're returning, welcome back. Then you just know that this is how the game is played and you got to be in it to win it. So before I get into it, be sure to smash that like button and the subscribe. Us poor people on YouTube now are seriously going to suffer as retail exits the market and less people have an interest in cryptocurrency. So all of those likes, all of those comments, all of those subscribes really help us to continue to spread the word of crypto, even when everybody thinks it's a Ponzi and, it's going to zero. So let's get into this pattern. This pattern that we previously talked about on the daily. Previously, as you can see here, I thought this was the 3-level drop here. Now, in hindsight, when we look at it, you can see that the 3 big volume spikes that make the drop are here, and here. So in fact, I don't actually think that this was the 3rd drop here. I think it's happening right now. And that this whole section here, in fact, was drop level 2. And within that, we just had a very big boardroom when you zoom out on the daily. In addition to that, you could probably also find the 3-level drops after the M formation here within this here. But what's going on right now is fundamentally not great. So this is the point where all traders' patterns are going to fail pretty much because, is this drop due to the fact that UST has broken its peg? It's a very big problem. It's very dramatic. And if it is, then we just have to wait to see where the dust settles. And I don't think any support level is really going to stop the ship sinking. It's a matter of that problem being fixed. So let's address investing in crypto first. If you now know that what's happening with the crypto market is the result of a technical flaw, then this is literally the worst time to sell. I realize some people would have bought Bitcoin, up here thinking it was going to break higher or here, or maybe even bought up here and have been holding the entire time. We have to get some perspective about it because let's just pretend you bought the absolute very top and you've been holding this whole time thinking that it's going to, hopefully come back. You are now down 56%. Now that's horrible, right? You're down like half your money. And sure, you would be feeling major pain right now. But what if this is the bottom? And what if from here you sell and then Bitcoin goes and creates a new all-time high eventually? You're going to feel even worse. So when it comes to investing, sometimes you just have to sit through your bad decisions. The reality is that they say in a bear market, Bitcoin will retrace somewhere between 80 to 85%. So if we bring this down to 80%, we're looking here at around 13 point. I don't think we're going there, but that's just a general rule, right? So if that's the case and you're currently down 56% or say 50%, then you're more than halfway there. So that's the thing you got to think about is if you're already halfway through this pain, can you hold out the rest of it? Understanding it would probably take a year or more to get back to where you bought at the top. Can you withstand that pain of a further 30% drop? And can you withstand the time it's going to take to get back? If that's your answer, then just hold through the rest of it because there's no guarantee we're going to go down to 80. Like 80% is probably worst case scenario. And also I think highly unlikely. But if you sold here at the bottom of a falling knife and then it rebounds, you're going to feel even worse. At the end of the day, nothing goes in a straight line forever. So at some point in time, this is going to find support and it's going to have a little bit of a rebound. Just like here, came down dramatic, found support, had a bit of a rebound, came down, found support, rebound, came down, found support, rebound. It's inevitable that at some point in time, this is going to happen. So if you're an investor in Bitcoin right now and you're bleeding, wait for that rebound before you decide to exit, if that's what you want to do. If we hold here at this level, it's likely that we'll rebound to somewhere to retest under here. You know, you'd be better off trying to get out at say 35, 36, 37, maybe even 38, rather than trying to get out at 30,000 or 31,000, whatever we're at now. The worst thing you can do is sell during a news event, being the UST peg that's breaking, without giving that thing the time to figure out the problem and fix it. At some point, if you believe in Luna, if you believe in UST, they'll figure it out and they'll fix the problem, and we'll have at least a temporary rebound from there. So even if you're thinking of withdrawing your UST and taking the loss, like, it would just be a mistake to do it when things are already bleeding, in my opinion. Just know that a recovery will follow, and at that point is the smarter time to make your decision on what to do. So let's just talk about this whole thing where we are right now, because we're at a very critical point. If Bitcoin can't hold this box range here between 29.7 to 32.2, if Bitcoin can't hold somewhere in between here, then we really don't have any support to stop us other than this level here at around 24K to 22K, let's say. We really don't have any other support till we're back at $20,000. So that's going to be the last kind of hope. But if we break it, I think it's full-blown bear market. I mean, we're full-blown bear market anyway, but there is still an argument that we're in a range because we hit 30 here, we hit 30 here, and we have not yet made it to 30. So 3 touches to that support line. If we can bounce, then we're technically just in a range. I would not yet say that it's all over for Bitcoin. There is a last glimmer of hope, and we're going to go down to a smaller time frame to see if we can find that glimmer of hope, but it really will depend on some good news coming out about UST and that whole problem being fixed, in my opinion. Now, the thing is, any bounce that happens here temporarily is only going to be profit taking, and that's another problem that we have right now, because if we have a look at High Block, this leverage build up to the shorts is probably the biggest I've ever seen it. Last night, we got to $53 billion worth. We are currently at $48 billion worth. So the reason that it's reducing now is because people who open short positions, wherever they opened them, have reached their target and they're taking profits. Now, granted, most people don't do that because they battle with greed. And if they're in a good short position, they're probably thinking, I'm going to keep this open till 20K. So there will be no shortage of people who get wrecked when this thing sharply rebounds. But the problem that we have right now is that there are some smart traders that are closing their trades and are taking profits, and that's reducing that leverage that's on the table. This basically means we cannot hold where we are now for too much longer, because the longer we hold here, the longer we give retail the opportunity to take the liquidity away from the market maker. So how would I play something like this now, knowing what I know? The fact is, when you've got a situation like this going on, trying to scalp the bottom of this and flip it into a long position is highly risky. You have to remember, with the market maker model, the lower the time frame that you try to trade it on, the more often you're not going to get it right. Now, that doesn't mean you won't be profitable. You might not need to have a super high win rate in order to be profitable, but psychologically, a lot of people can't handle being stopped out 4 or 5 times before the next trade goes the right way, even if the next trade will more than make up for their 4 or 5 losses. traders, they still get psyched out. I see it all the time. So if you can't handle trades going the wrong way until you get the right one, you shouldn't trade smaller time frames. It doesn't match your psychology. You haven't made it there yet to the point where you're like, oh, lost, whatever, jump back in. For some reason, the risk you're putting on a trade is still messing with your mind. It shouldn't feel like anything at all if you get stopped out multiple times before it goes the right way. So if that's you, then you just need to trade a higher time frame until you've worked on your psychology around trading. So with that in mind, because this is now so risky, in my opinion, it's so risky because this is the level that traders are going to be taking their own profits and reducing the liquidity available to the market maker. So therefore, I think the most intelligent thing to do, well, actually, we have three choices, and let's talk about the three choices. Let's go down to a 1 hour time frame. So choice number one is that we know that this is the zone that we need to break on a higher time frame in order to continue to be bearish. So your choice number one is to short the break here. In my opinion, that would be the dumbest decision anyone could make because your risk to reward is going to be terrible. You're shorting after an already 24% drop. Your risk to reward would have to be something like this, just to this level if we're lucky. So you've got a 1.26 to 1 risk to reward. So out of the three choices, this is not a choice. No one, in my opinion, should be looking to short the break of 30K. Choice number two is you look for a multi-day or a multi-session W now. So what I mean by that is we start to look for the first peak of the W to form in one session, and we get a bit of a push out for that. Then in another session, either in the same day, but preferably in a different day, that's going to give us a higher probability of playing out. We get the second peak of the W, then we can potentially shift out from there. If we get this W that lines up with Jupiter into Aries, like that's just going to be super bullish. But that's the kind of thing that we're looking for now, because trying to scalp the W is going to be super high risk. If you have confidence in the method, and when I say that, this is not applicable to everyone, if you really have confidence in the method, you could take a very small position at the first peak of the W, but you would have to be so confident that this is the first peak of the W, and that would come down to it lining up with a low of the week or a very, very, very key level, which is basically where we are now. You could take maybe a quarter position here, but again, ask yourself, can your psychology handle it if you open a position here and then it goes the wrong way? This next position you could then take here, and that's where you could add the whole rest of your position if you're confident that this is a W that's going to change, because now you have a change in market structure, right? You've gone from lower lows all the way to now a higher low, that over a day's period. That's a change in market structure. If you want to be even more conservative, then you would wait for this instead. So you would let the entire W play out, let it break the W, then come back to retest it. And then this here is where you would fully position. So there's three choices once you believe that the bleed is over and at least some sort of a recovery is going to happen. These three levels up here are those $400 million liquidations that we've seen on high block. So they would become your targets, providing those levels stay there. So that's choice number two, if you're wanting to catch the recovery of this. Choice number three is to understand that we are still very much in a bear market, but shorting from 30K is a mistake. So the other thing you could do is take your fibs from this drop here to wherever the bottom is found. Let's just assume it's in now, right? And then look for a short position that lines up with the fib levels, but also your EMAs. So we've got the 50 EMA on the 4 hour here is this blue one, lines up with 65. Just back to support again is going to give you a 2.5 to 1 trade. If you're lucky, you could catch the top of this liquidation level to just under the yellow EMA, which is the 200. And again, again, back to the previous bottom, you're going to have a 3.4 to 1 trade. Shorting that there is much, much, much smarter than trying to short the break of 30K. If we don't rebound, we don't rebound. Oh, well, like I see so much people saying, oh, I missed the trade. I should have done this. I should have done. Well, you didn't, right? You didn't. So let's move on. Like, we can't go back in time. It is what it is. All we can do is think about what we're going to do moving forward and what is going to be the best potential setup moving forward. So now we know a break of 30K, opening a short position is not the best potential move moving forward. In fact, it would be very silly. A W on a 15-minute time frame is also not going to be the best decision moving forward unless your psychology can handle you getting the W wrong another 5 times. The next decision is a multi-day W. This has a very high probability of paying out. So that's a good decision if you decide to wait for a multi-day W. From here, because we're at a low of the week. The next decision is you let the rebound happen because you still think we're terribly bearish and we're probably going to 20K from here. No worries, let the rebound happen and then take a short position as long as price stays under the EMAs on whatever time frame you're trading. Give yourself the best possible risk to reward. So there you go. For me, not interested in shorting from here 100%. I'm waiting for a multi-day W, and because of my witch vibes, I'm going to hope that we get that second peak here on the 11th of May. It's only a day away. Like, if you don't have the patience to wait a day for a trade, get out of trading. Like, seriously, get out of trading. It's tomorrow night, Melbourne time. So, more than 24 hours, but that's going to pay off much bigger than trying to short from here or just taking a gamble on this being the bottom and opening a long position right here. And the other thing too is, besides the astrology, it will line up with a midweek reversal. So if that happens, it's just going to increase my confidence that the start of this week was down, middle of the week is the midweek reversal, and hopefully we'll be fine by then. But even if it does happen, that doesn't mean I'm going to open a long position and try to ride it up to 100K. We still have to get through these levels, and there's a very big chance of rejection. Don't forget that we have full moon then on the 16th. So in a perfect world, I don't really like to plan my trades this far ahead, but when astrology is involved that I am confident with, then I kind of will lay out a plan, but I'm still always reassessing on a daily basis. So I'm going to lay out what I think would be the ideal week for this week. However, I'm going to keep you updated tomorrow and the next day on how that's actually playing out. So just take this little next bit with a grain of salt. But in an ideal world, this is the first peak W right here. So I'm going to wait for the second peak to get formed, hopefully sometime tomorrow night. Take that as a long position up to these liquidation levels. Then on the 16th, we have the full moon, and usually price comes down before the full moon, finds support, and then recovers after. So once we've hit these levels, I'm going to expect price to come back down. I ideally would like to bag flip here in case we are still very much in a bear market. So not going to hold on to my long here, going to bag flip around this area and hopefully ride it back down to support to the full moon. Then I'm going to look for another W formation and ride that out. Wherever this lands is irrelevant to me. It could even be that the full moon sell-off is just a retracement that creates a higher low. So price is irrelevant when I'm drawing out this pattern. All I'm really caring about is the movement, looking for a W, looking for price to reach somewhere close to these liquidation levels, providing these traders here don't take their profits and those liquidations stay there for the next couple of days. Then look to bag flip, ride that down to wherever it decides to find new support. And it could even be that we get something like this, which would then mean we actually will have a 4-hour W, which would be even better. So I know that at $30,000 or $31,000, Bitcoin feels so scary and it feels like it's all over, but I honestly feel hope. And I was talking to someone on Twitter last night that was like, but Annie, the stock market and the this and the that. And I'm like, do you ever just have faith? Like, I understand everything everything. I understand that the whole market is in a mess, and I understand that we don't have a choice as long as the Dixie is flying, and we don't have a choice as long as NASDAQ is dying. Like, I understand all of that, but I got into crypto because I believe in crypto, right? And I believe other people are going to get it soon. And we have to remember that I'm pretty sure it's still under 2%, maybe under 1%, but definitely under 2% of the world are in this so far. If you're still sticking around, even though Bitcoin is at 31,000 and you're still watching people on YouTube talk about crypto, it's gonna pay off for you so big one day. Like, most people get into this when it's at the high, you know, and then that's if they get into it. There's still 99% of the world that don't. Like, in the grand scheme of things, we are so early, and anytime Bitcoin sells off, it should be a long-term buying opportunity if you believe in cryptocurrency long-term. And that no one can answer that for you. It's a personal decision. Have a look at this fear and greed index, for example. I mean, this needs to refresh today. It usually does it at around 10 a.m. Melbourne time. So there's another hour to go. So this is the level from yesterday, 11 out of 100. That's probably close to one of the lowest times we've ever seen it. Like, look at these dots here. When the pandemic broke out, we got down to a score of 9. It'd be so interesting to see what this is at. I'm going to update this on my Twitter when it does refresh. If you're not following me on Twitter, please be sure to follow me on Twitter, because in between uploading these videos, I do the emergency updates on my Twitter to keep you guys notified. Also, on that note, it is the start of the month. It is the most perfect time to join the Patreon if you're interested. I do post those high block liquidations every day. We're all in there. The whole community are in there posting the trading light buys and sells. Like, it is such a vibing community, especially in first class, and everyone's in there trading together. So if you have the basics of technical analysis under your belt, if you already know the basics, but you want to learn the market maker method and heat maps, come and join us in first class. There's no better time to do it than now. The best time to learn to trade, to really nail your trading, is in a bear market. If you can become profitable in a bear market, you'll have such an easy ride in a bull market. However, in saying all of that, I don't teach the absolute basics of trading myself. So if you don't understand simple things like support and resistance, drawing trend lines, drawing Fibonacci, if you don't understand that, I personally don't teach that. However, I do have a recommendation for you. And if you jump into the free section of my Discord, come into this one here, crypto courses, look for the 14-day crypto trader. It's only $147 AUD. And the best thing about this course is you get to keep the content forever. A lot of courses out there, you'll pay a subscription and then you only get access to the material for as long as you stay a member. With this, you get to keep it forever. So if you need to refer to it a million times, you've got the access to it. Whilst you're there, if you're interested in learning how to earn passive income through stablecoin staking, this is the course coming up that is my course that is close to being finished. So you can register your interest for it here. But this one here is not my course. It's just created by someone that I've traded with for many years. And he's an excellent technical analyst. And I trust him implicitly. And the reason I didn't create my own beginner's course is because I think this one's the best one out there. So there literally was no point. Just to show you his website quickly here. This is him. This is Jason here. You can go through this link on your own, but you can see here he teaches you about security, trading systems, helping you to understand trading view, technical analysis, market trends using understanding volume, Fibonacci, risk management, so important, and then also how to actually just research. So it's an excellent course for the price that it is. Not only that, every lesson has like a quiz that you can take at the end to make sure that you understand what you just learned before you move on. So couldn't recommend it enough. If you need to learn technical analysis from the very beginning, learn it in a bear market and learn this first, still come and join us in Discord, because you get access to the free channels and you can come and get to know people and whatnot. And then once you finish that, you can then come and join us in one of the higher tiers. But don't jump straight into the higher tier if you don't understand the basics of trading. All right, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I know it's a very, very scary time. Just hold on. Look for little patterns like this to give us a glimmer of hope. Don't give up just just yet. We really are at that very key level of support, and all we need right now is to see the buyers start to come in at this level. So just hold on. If we break it, we break it. We'll reassess. But shorting the break of 30K, I think, is a mistake. I mean, you do you, but I certainly won't be doing that. But just know that anytime from today until at least the midweek reversal, which really, it's only a day away, we could head down lower. For me, I'd rather just ride that out than start to look for signs of a recovery. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, turn the notification bell on, all of that sort of stuff. As I mentioned before, us crypto YouTubers right now, with Bitcoin going down like this, we're really going to need the support from our communities. So massive appreciation to you. It costs nothing to hit that like button, and I would be forever grateful. I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't be scared. We will recover from this. We'll live another day. Have the most amazing day. Goodbye.